The first time I saw her, I thought she was just another stray child wandering the edges of the human colony on Zephyria. 4. The planet's harsh crimson desert stretched endlessly in every direction, dotted with human settlements that had carved out fragile lives among the harsh dunes. I had come here for supplies to trade, nothing more. Yet that one encounter would change the trajectory of my life forever. She was small, barely taller than a toddler, with skin that shimmered faintly like molten silver and eyes that glowed a gentle teal in the dim twilight. Her tiny hands reached out, trembling, and she whispered in a voice that I could barely understand. "Duh." Froze. At first, I thought she was mimicking the few words she had overheard from nearby humans. But as I knelt down to her level, I realized there was something in her tone, a raw, desperate hope that I couldn't ignore. "Hey, kid, you lost?" I asked gently, crouching in the sand. Her glowing eyes widened, and she nodded vigorously. Duh," she repeated, her voice more insistent this time. It was absurd. I wasn't her father. I wasn't even close. And yet, in that instant, I felt a strange, unexplainable pull, an instinct older than myself, telling me I couldn't just walk away. I scooped her up cautiously, feeling her tiny arms cling to my neck. The colony was still a few kilometers away, but the desert was alive with predators. Scavenger drones left over from a mining operation, packs of native creatures with jagged claws, and unpredictable sandstorms that could wipe out anyone in minutes. Carrying her, I moved as fast as I could, scanning the horizon for threats. The journey back to the colony was tense. Every shadow seemed to move. Every distant hum of machinery set my nerves on edge. And all the while the girl who I had begun to call Lyra, after a constellation visible even in Zephyria's dusty sky, clung to me, occasionally whispering duh, in a way that made my chest tighten. When we finally reached the settlement, I handed her over to the medics for a quick scan. She was healthy, though dehydrated, and her vitals were unlike anything the colony had recorded. Her DNA, her biology, it was alien, but somehow compatible with humans in ways the scientists couldn't explain. For days I tried to maintain distance. I had my own life, my own problems. I was a trader, a lone wanderer in the outer sectors, not someone equipped to raise a child, let alone an alien one. Yet Lyra had a way of finding me. She would crawl into my quarters, her glowing eyes following me as I moved, her tiny hand reaching for mine. And every time she whispered duh, my heart betrayed me, softening against my better judgment. It wasn't just affection. Lyra had a way of seeing through the chaos of life on Zephyria. 4. A clarity I had lost in the grind of survival. She asked questions, not with words exactly, but with expressions, gestures, and her strange melodic sounds that somehow communicated far more than language could. And in her presence, I found myself slowing down, paying attention to things I had ignored. The subtle shifts of the wind, the life in the desert sands, the tiny moments of beauty that existed even in a harsh world. Weeks passed. I learned to care for her, and in turn, she taught me things I didn't realize I needed to learn. How to listen, how to protect, how to nurture. And yet, a part of me still feared the outside world. Zephyria, for wasn't kind to the weak, and having an alien child in the settlement drew attention. Unwanted attention. Rumors spread quickly among humans and aliens alike, questioning why I had her, what she was, and whether she was safe with me. Then came the attack. A raiding party of scavengers, human and alien mercenaries, descended upon the colony in the dead of night. Their goal was unclear. Resources, hostages, or perhaps revenge for past grievances. All I knew was that I had to get Lyra to safety. The medics screamed, civilians scattered, and in the chaos I grabbed her, sprinting toward the reinforced transport bays. The attackers were fast, but I was faster. Years of surviving hostile planets had taught me to anticipate danger, to move instinctively. Lyra clung to me, but I noticed her trembling. Her glowing eyes dimmed slightly, a sign of fear or perhaps distress. I whispered, "I've got you. I won't let them take you," though the words felt inadequate against the cacophony of gunfire and screams around us. We reached the transport bay just as the first energy blasts tore through the outer walls. With no time to think, I activated the emergency shuttle, and we launched into the night sky, leaving the chaos behind. The colony was under siege, but Lyra and I were alive, and that was all that mattered. In the days that followed, as we drifted among the stars, a bond formed that went beyond words. Lyra adapted quickly to the shuttle, exploring every corner, learning to communicate with me through gestures and sounds, and occasionally with the occasional soft whisper of "dicta." I began to respond not just with words, but with actions, presence, and care. It wasn't easy. Raising an alien child meant confronting challenges I had never anticipated. Her diet, her sleep cycles, her unique biology. It demanded constant attention. But I discovered something extraordinary. She understood me in ways humans rarely did. She could sense my moods, my fears, my hopes. And as I taught her to navigate the shuttle, to read star charts, to survive in space, I realized that I was learning as much from her as she was from me. Months passed. We traveled between colonies, evading bounty hunters, trading goods, and occasionally seeking safe havens where we could rest. Lyra grew stronger, her glowing features more pronounced, her personality blossoming. And with every passing day, the whispers of "dicta" became a thread of connection that wove our lives together into something profound. One day, as we orbited a lush, uninhabited planet, Lyra pointed toward the horizon and made a series of sounds I could only interpret as excitement. I followed her gaze to see a field of alien flora, bioluminescent and teeming with life. She laughed, a sound of pure joy, and clapped her tiny hands. "Duh," she exclaimed, her voice carrying unbridled happiness. And in that moment, I understood fully what had changed. My life, once defined by loneliness, by survival, by distance from others, had been irrevocably transformed. I wasn't just a wanderer anymore. I wasn't merely a human trying to scrape by in a cold galaxy. I was a father, protector, someone who mattered to another life, who had been entrusted with the greatest responsibility and gift I could imagine. Years later, Lyra became more than my child. She became my partner in exploration, my guide, my reason to push beyond limits I hadn't dared challenge before. Together we mapped uncharted systems, brokered peace with alien factions, and discovered worlds no human had ever set foot on. And through it all, the simple word she first spoke, "dicta," remained our anchor, a reminder of how everything had changed in a single unexpected moment. Even as the galaxy stretched endlessly before us, filled with dangers, wonders, and the unknown, I carried a profound truth. Life's meaning is not in what you conquer or survive, but in the bonds you forge, the trust you earn, and the lives you touch. Lyra had called me Dad, and in doing so, she had changed the trajectory of my life, teaching me lessons no mission, no battle, no discovery ever could. In the quiet moments between the stars, as I watched her sleep in her cradle aboard our ship, I realized I would face anything for her. Raiders, hostile planets, alien beasts, or the void itself. None of it mattered. I had been chosen, and in being chosen, I had chosen in return. To protect, to nurture, and to be a father to a little alien girl who had seen me not just as a survivor, but as her family. And in that truth, I found a happiness that was boundless, enduring, and entirely new. Because sometimes the galaxy isn't about the stars or the planets or the battles you survive. It's about the ones who call you home, even when you thought you had none.